Duke fans, do you hear the emergency sirens going? It's time for an emergency podcast. Just a short time ago, we got word. Another one. The Blue Devils have landed what is widely considered to be the best center, the best big man in the, well, big man may be the wrong word because we've already got the best big man, best center in the class of 2024. I am Jason Evans here to talk about it. Joining me is my man, Donald Wine. Donald, we had planned to come here and chat about the Tar Heels. We're going to do that on a podcast for tomorrow. For now, Donald, it's all about Khaman Maluach. By the way,
Jason, real quick.
Go. Yeah.
Real quick. If you recall that episode when Zion Williamson committed to Duke, I was at a bar in San Diego and it was me, you, and Sam basically just laughing for 30 minutes.
Yes.
I heard of this commitment while on a plane to San Diego, and I record this show from San Diego. So that's why my mic sounds a little off. But Duke fans, this is for you. In an effort to get more big time recruits to commit, if you want to help me move to San Diego, dbrpodcast@gmail.com. I'm accepting job offers, movers, places to live, pots and pans. We can make this happen because we want more guys like Khaman Maluach.
Yeah, I was going to say, by the way, we've mispronounced his name many, many times. We've now that he is officially a recruit,
that's all it took.
A member of the Duke class 2024, Maluach. We have it. Maluach, this guy swats some shots. That's what I say.
Windbin Maluach is what I was calling him, because he has a similar build, he has a similar game, and he brings similar excitement to me, at least.
Yeah. So let's start with just the stats on him. He is 7'2". At the NBA Africa Academy, they measured him. His standing reach is 9'8". Oh my God. Basically, he could probably come very, very, if he got on his tippy toes, he could grab the rim. And needless to say, he is expected to be a heck of a rim protector. But the reason people are so excited about this player, the reason everyone is projecting Khaman Maluach to be one of the top 3 picks in the 2025 NBA draft is because he is way more than just a super tall, super long big man who's going to protect the rim. He has remarkable basketball skills. He is absolutely capable of stepping out and taking 3-pointers. It is not uncommon for people to compare him to Victor Wembanyama, who is currently doing a number on the NBA. I mean, setting all kinds of rookie records, doing things no one's ever seen before in the NBA. It is not uncommon for people to compare this guy to Chet Holmgren, who we saw do amazing things his 1 year at Gonzaga before going on to the NBA. And Donald, the notion that Duke is going to put this guy on the floor next to Cooper Flagg, who is considered to be a generational defensive talent. We've joked about it. Dude, you and I, we've laughed about it and said, if Duke is running out Cooper Flagg, Khaman Maluach, and some of the other elite defenders who appear to be on their way back to Durham, Sean Stewart, perhaps Mark Mitchell, and so on and so on. I mean, I don't know how you get a shot that hits the rim with that many great defenders who can erase what you're doing in the half court.
Look, first of all, the first part about this is that he's not done growing yet. They think he might top out at like 7'4", 7'5". His wingspan could get to 10 feet. Like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about dude that literally, like, he's thin as a rail, right? He's, like I said, he's shaped kind of like Victor Wembanyama, but because he has a wingspan that is the size of 2 vehicles, you can't get around him. I think that's the key here, is that you can't get around him. And even if you do, in next year's lineup, hi, I'm Cooper Flagg. I'm here to swat your stuff away. Or if you want to challenge him, hi, I don't have to jump to swat your stuff away. You mentioned he can dunk, he can block, he can shoot threes. He's learning on the job every single day. And as you kind of mentioned, I think what most people are excited about, you pair him with a Cooper Flagg, you pair him with a Sean Stewart, you pair him with a Mark Mitchell. I don't care where you put him, but good luck shooting inside of 17 feet. Like, good luck next year. I wish you well, because it's not going to end well for you. This is, and at the end of the day, also his offensive skills might be the rawest part of his game, but also like you said, Jason, he can easily step out and shoot threes. He's not like we're not talking about Marshall Plumlee shooting a 3 here. He has a really good stroke, and he's not going to shoot 8 threes a game, But if he steps up there, he's going to take them and he's going to make them. Like, that's the thing about him, is that you can't really stop him at a certain point. And as he becomes more skilled, it just, learning and the awareness and the court awareness, everything slows down even further for him. He's just going to get that much better. I can't wait to see him do that in a Duke uniform.
Yeah. By the way, he is, first of all, he's young. He is not yet 18 years old. He doesn't turn 18 till September. He's only been playing basketball for 5 years. As we've discussed on this podcast in the past, he was discovered, I believe the legend is he was discovered by Luol Deng's brother or something like that. Yeah, that's the legend. He's very close to Luol Deng's family. He's from South Sudan. He played on the South Sudan World Championship team last summer as a 16-year-old. I mean, come on. And by the way, that's a pretty good, South Sudan has a pretty good basketball team. Thanks to what Luol Deng has done to build up the program, in that African country. They're widely considered like the best team in Africa, and it's just unbelievable that John Shire is going to bring this guy in along with all the other players that Duke has in this class. There are many people out there who say this class goes alongside 2018, goes alongside the Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish class, that it's that good in terms of the number of, in terms of the ceiling of the players in this class, mostly because of what Cooper Flagg is, and now because of what Khaman Maluach is.
It's incredible. And throwing Trey Jones into that class, right? Who was the one guy who ended up staying a second year, but it's that kind of class. And you mentioned some of the guys.
And we throw in Isaiah Evans, who's
Isaiah Evans, Con
Knuppel, who's top 20 recruit. Patrick Ongba is a top 25 or so recruit. Darren Harris, top 50 recruit. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And I think also we still have room. It's weird because there's going to be a lot of turnover from this team as we move into. It feels weird to look forward to next year when we're still in the middle of what we're doing this year, which has been great. Right. But if you bear with us for a minute and kind of look into the future a little bit, you have those guys coming in to complement what could be a returning Caleb Foster, maybe, as you mentioned, maybe a Mark Mitchell, maybe a Jarrett McCain if he decides to stay. You have a lot of options here, and they're going to hit the portal. They'll probably hit it. Now that changes their dynamic of who they get in the portal, but you're probably looking for a Theo John type of guy that can come in and get some minutes while the other guys are resting. I think if we had a Theo John on next year's team, it'd be great. You find some leadership in this situation, but man, it's hard not to look forward to next year and say, bring it on. And Jason, when we look at even the schedule, right? The schedule is kind of set up in a way that we're going to Arizona. We're having Kentucky in the Champions Classic. I've been hearing, and I think I've told you this offline, I've been hearing that they're even maybe scheduling a game against Kansas for a home and home that could begin next year and really go 3 years when you add their game in the Champions Classic. So we could be having Kansas at Cameron or even going to Fog Allen. This schedule is setting up to be a big one because they know they have a big class coming in. They know they have a lot of generational talent coming in, and yet Maluach is the latest piece of this. And it feels like, could it be the final piece? We don't know, but it absolutely feels like one that meshes with everything we have. Defensively, you are not going to want to leave your seat if you were in Cameron next year. You were just,
oh my gosh.
Jason, it's like when I was, I'm a Tigers fan. When it was Justin Verlander was on the mound, you left when the Tigers were on offense, because as good as they were, as many bats as they were, you wanted to see every pitch from Justin Verlander. This is one where you're going to be like, hey, if I need to take an off possession, it's going to be when we're shooting the ball. And it's not that we're going to be terrible at shooting the ball. It's because the defense is going to be so stellar, at least prediction wise. The defensive prediction and just the wherewithal of what they can do, man, it's hard to look past this weekend, which is a huge weekend, and say, yo, bring on next year. But I'm kind of saying both. Give me this weekend and give me next year at the same time.
I love it. Yes. Give it all to us. We are Duke fans. We are so selfish.
I'll take it. In this case, I want all the recruits. Like, if there's one part of my being and my character that is selfish, it is in Duke recruiting. I don't care who you are. If you are good, I'm kind of like Suge Knight here. If you want to be, all in Cameron Indoor Stadium, dancing, dunking, shooting, blocking, come to Duke University.
Yeah, look, the possibilities for next season are just a myriad of really, really interesting combinations. We're not going to get into all the speculation who could come back and who will and who
we have a whole
won't.
offseason for that.
There's a whole offseason for that. And frankly, it's silly speculation because I don't think that any of these players have decided much of anything. Sure, I mean, there's some guys who know for sure they're probably at this point they're probably entering the draft, but it's not as many guys as you might imagine. And we've still got plenty of games still to be played on this season before we get to next year and this remarkable recruiting class.
And Jason, as you mentioned earlier, we do have Patrick Ngongba, who is also in this class, also projected as a center. But as some people out there know, he has been hurt this year. And
he's played very little for PVI this year.
Played very little. I learned about this because he's in my neck of the woods, him and Darren Harris. And PVI, if you've not seen them play this year, they have been fantastic this year. The only team better than them is Cooper Flagg's Montverde team. Like that, put those two in a court and get out of the way. But when it comes to Patrick Ngongba, he's had some surgery. It sounds like they're going to take their time to really make sure that is fully healed, which could eat into a lot of his next year. Don't be surprised if Patrick Ngongba medical red shirts next year, just to make sure that that's healthy. Even if he would be ready later in the season, no need to blow a red shirt or blow a year of eligibility on him if he can be ready for the following year. That opens up a lot of time for Maluach to shine as well.
It is a good time, Donald. It is a good time to be a Blue Devil fan.
I love
There's
it.
No question about that.
It's the greatest month of the year. March. Never leave me.
I know. It's pretty awesome. Look, we're going to take a really quick break. On the other side, NCAA tournament getting bigger. We'll have a quick report about that in just a moment. So, Donald, we just got two other quick items that we're going to polish off and get out of the way very quickly. The first one is this. We think, be on the lookout. If you have not subscribed yet to the Brotherhood podcast, the one hosted by Ryan Young, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to subscribe to it right now. Look, you should also subscribe to this podcast, but I'm guessing the fact that you're listening to my voice, you're probably already subscribed to the DBR, the Duke Basketball Roundup, but you should also subscribe to the Brotherhood podcast. It appears Ryan Young is ready to release another episode. It's been a few months. Ryan's been a little bit busy playing basketball, but we had a social media image that was put out there of Ryan sitting down with Spencer Hubbard and Jeremy Roach. They were at center court in Cameron, sitting on couches. They had the Duke social media team apparently had set up a whole studio, so to speak, there in the middle of Cameron for them to do a podcast in addition to the Brotherhood podcast. I believe that this is probably a tribute to those three players as they are, ostensibly seniors, although Ryan Young is a second-year grad student and Jeremy Roach technically still has eligibility, could come back, but essentially these are the three guys that I think we're going to see honored on Senior Day in Cameron on Saturday. Really, really three guys who each have very, very different stories of their Duke experiences, but three special players that we're looking forward to honoring.
Look, it first of all, when the episode comes out, will be a must listen, much watch on YouTube. I know they have the video on YouTube, so I usually like to listen to the podcast and then watch the video as well. So definitely check that out. But I'm not ready to say goodbye to those three yet. Let's just put it that way. I mean, let's put it this way. I don't think Jeremy Roach is going to have a Leaky Black situation where he has 3 senior nights. I just don't think he's going to do that. I think when he has a senior night, is going to be genuine, is going to be his actual last time. And I do remember after one of the games over the weekend, I'm not sure which one, where he was at the press conference, he mentioned that he was looking forward to this game against UNC being his last game in Cameron. So this is very telling. And again, it's going to be the senior days that are on Carolina games mean so much more, but I know the pressure mounts that much more because you want to send those guys out with a win, and you want to do it against that team 8 miles down the road. So I want everybody there to make sure you give all 3 of these guys love. Do it for us because I know we won't be able to be there, but man, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not because I'm not ready to say goodbye to those 3 yet.
Yeah, no. Well, and the nice thing is, we say goodbye to them playing in Cameron, but there will be much more basketball still to be played.
Absolutely.
I feel like this Duke team is primed to play many more games after we play our last.
Play as many as you can.
Game.
Play as many as you can. If we can get 10 more, that'd be good with me.
Would it be 10? How would it be
10? Carolina.
Oh, you counted the Carolina game. I meant after the Carolina. I was thinking 9, but yes, including the Carolina game, it would be 10. Yes.
If they want to play a pickup game after they win national championship, they won a national championship. They can do that.
Exactly. I'd subscribe to watch that for sure. And we have one other really quick. Speaking of the NCAA tournament, playing those 6 games and winning 6 games in March and April, there is an article in The Athletic that I wanted to just very quickly mention to folks. If you don't have an Athletic subscription, you should really check it out. They say that it's almost inevitable that the NCAA tournament is going to expand. And there's been all this talk that maybe of going into the 90s or so, it now looks, according to The Athletic, like the expansion will probably go from 68 teams to either 72 or maybe 76 total teams. And the logistics of getting all the way into the 90s is just too much, but that there is a lot of pressure to make it a little bit bigger, to add spots that essentially are almost certainly going to mostly go to teams from the Power 6, I guess, with the demise of the Pac-12, the Power 5 conferences. And one of the things driving this is the expansion of the various Power 5 conferences that we've seen, that you have the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC growing, and that the growth of these 3 conferences means you need more spots for teams that are a little bit further down in the conference pecking order. That, when a UCLA and a USC, 2 teams that typically are in the running for NCAA tournament bids in the Pac-12, when they come over to the Big Ten, that you need to create space for extra bids for Big Ten teams. And one of the ways you're going to create that extra space is by expanding either to 72 or 76. It's very easy to leave things where they are. I'm actually not hugely opposed to this. And I think that actually probably what happens with this is you reach the point where all the 16 seeds are playing their way in. Currently, we have 2 of the 16 spots that are play-in games. I think you probably reach the point where all 4 of the 16 seeds are playing their way in. And part of the impact of that is going to be the 15s and the 16s are going to be better and better teams.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have more exciting first-round games. I'm sure Purdue and Virginia would tell you that they don't need more excitement in the 1-16 matchup. But we're gonna find that the most unlikely of upsets, the 1-16 upset, is going to happen more and more often when you expand this field and you essentially make all those 16 seeds into play-in games. I think you may also see, like, currently most of the 11 seeds are play-in games. You may see the 11s and even the 10s also be play-in games. It's gonna be very interesting to see what they come up with. I'm not entirely opposed to going to 72 or 76. I think getting beyond that, you really start to create some problems, but I'm cool with this kind of expansion.
First off, it's funny that we are talking about even limited expansion of the NCAA tournament when in response to conference expansion, when these conference tournaments themselves are not expanding beyond some of their limits, right? Like the ACC is going to keep it at 15 teams next year. The Big Ten is going to keep it at 15 teams next year. The ACC, I think, is keeping it. Are they at 15 as well? They're going to keep the same format and just have 15 on 18. So it's not like they're expanding to accommodate the new people that are entering those conferences. I don't know about the SEC, but I think the one thing I'll have about expansion is this, for at least the NCAA tournament. I'm with you. I don't have as big a problem with expanding to 72, maybe even 76. I think 72 would be the one, but here's how I would do it. I've always been the proponent that the 16 seeds who have won their conference tournament, they've won their conference, they deserve to be there. And I hate that they have to play their way into a tournament that they deserve to be in because they did all the right things. I think the play-in tournaments should be reserved for those teams that you don't know if they deserve to be there. Oh, you don't know if a Wake Forest or a Butler or something like that deserves to be in the tournament. Okay, play in Dayton, see what happens. Winner goes in, the winner goes in, loser goes home. I think if you expand it, you make it where you have all the 11 seeds be playing games. But again, Jason, just like the same thing as you mentioned about the 16 seeds, everyone getting better. The one thing is we've seen a 10 or 11 seed who've won the play-in game and gone on to the Final Four. We've seen that happen multiple times now.
UCLA did that,
because UCLA did it, George Mason did it, Syracuse did it. So there's quite a few because they're in a roll. And the one thing is, if you're that 6 seed waiting to figure out who you're going to win, that 11 seed already knows. But the 6 seed has to prepare for 2 teams, and so that's a disadvantage for the team that's supposed to have the advantage. So I think we have the expansion. If you're going to do the 72 and make all the 11 seeds or whatever, all the real play-ins do it, cool. I say keep the 16 seeds out of it because in my mind, if anyone, all the conference champions deserve to be there. And if you have other teams from those mid-major conferences that are like, hey, I didn't win my conference tournament, but I won the regular season, whatever, that's what the play-in is for. Put those guys in the play-in, see how they shake out. The winners will keep dancing and the losers will go home.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you in theory. I just think that you're going to see there is pressure from the big conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really talking about the SEC and the Big Ten,
even
more than the ACC and the Big East and the such, and the Big 12. There's pressure from the big conferences to make more space, to get more money for their teams. And I feel like one of the ways they're going to try to exert that pressure is, it's not going to be to have more of their teams playing their way in. It's going to be to have more of the smaller conference teams playing their way in. But on the other hand, that game between St. John's and Wake Forest, or between, Colorado and Oklahoma, that could be a pretty exciting kind of game.
Those are the games we want to see. Those are the games we don't want to see, again, 2 16 seeds battled out for the right to be in when they both should be in there. At least that's my opinion. But like you said, those kind of matchups, I'd be like, oh, those 2 teams, they've been talking about them being on the bubble all year. Bracket bubble buster, baby. Let's see who rocks it. Let's do it.
Yeah, plan for their life, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be interesting. And I think that, look, part of this is if you add more teams, you have to add more money. There ain't no way. The SEC is not sitting here going, oh, yeah, let's expand the tournament, but not expand the pie. No, I'm sorry. There needs to be more money. And one of the ways to get more money, I think, is to make those play-in games a little more exciting and higher profile teams. You put a MEAC and a SWAC team playing each other, there's not going to be a huge audience for it compared to, a pair of power conference teams.
Also, the logistics have to change. I think the way they do it right now in Dayton, that is always in Dayton, and then they go elsewhere.
Right.
Doesn't always work out, right? Of course, we've had one time where Dayton was in the play-in game, so they played at home and then went to parts unknown forever, and they had to do that. But I also think that we've also had a 16 seed play the last game of the evening at like 9:48 p.m. and then they're the first game on Thursday at like 12:15, and they're having to fly to somewhere all the way across the country. I think if you do it and you're going to have more playing games, put them in the pods that they're supposed to be in. So the winner, if it's 6 versus 11 and they're supposed to be in Pittsburgh, then you put that playing game in Pittsburgh. That way those teams don't have to go anywhere. And I think also it gives the 6 seed an advantage because they can then scout that game, and just like they would if they were already in the pod. So I think that's the challenge here is you don't want to have to fly everybody all the way across country, but at least give it a couple days notice, put them in the pods they're supposed to be in, and just play those games there.
I love it. Yeah. Look, we are just sitting here speculating. We don't really, Donald and I are not being directly consulted by the NCAA and all this stuff.
But we should. dbrpodcast@gmail.com committee.
There you go. Write to us, committee. We'll tell you the way to get it done. All right. That's going to do it here for the latest edition of the DBR podcast. I think at number 606, if my counting is correct. Hey, check your feeds. In a matter of hours, we'll be right back here in your feed to preview the hated Tar Heels. That game's coming up this weekend. Congrats, by the way, once again to Khaman Maluach Maluach, who made the right decision and is headed to Durham along with the rest of a fabulous, fabulous recruiting class. For Donald, I'm Jason. Here's the Duke Band to play us out and take us home.